Greetings. Welcome to the Mid-Missouri Kayak Weather Report for September 2022. At 12 noon on Thursday, September 8th, the temperature is 83 degrees, which is our predicted high. Very sunny, a few clouds in the sky, but beautiful weather. Great. Something similar for tomorrow, cloudier Saturday and Sunday with about the same temperatures, but rain predicted for Sunday. And then going into next week, early days, it's supposed to drop down in the 70s and then back up to the mid to high 80s after that. So I am on Binder Lake. I've been here maybe about 3 times. It's the first time I've come this late. The past few times have been, I think, around June. There are fewer water lilies, but they're still beautiful. I have seen the resident swans. I've seen the resident swans, a few swallows. I saw an eagle dive down, hit the water, come up about 10 feet, and then dive back down again, and it flew off. It was a couple hundred yards away. It was in the distance, you know. And I'm going counterclockwise around the lake. It's the first time doing that. If I'd gone clockwise, I might have been there when it did it. But anyway, yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then a great blue heron. It just kind of posed for me. Let me get within 50 feet before it flew away. It was standing on a tree stump in the middle of the lake. So yeah, that was pretty cool. So other than that, I haven't seen a lot of life. You know, turtles, a couple of turtles. So there you go. There's that. And yeah, you know, we just came back from a trip. And if you think we went on a trip to get away from heat, well, guess what? It's hot everywhere. Yes, we went on a trip. We went to Philadelphia and back, except we came back the long way. We were gone for 16 days, left Saturday, came back Sunday. So a total of 16 days of driving. We put on 3,200 miles onto my car. Yeah. New tires, so, and it ran fine. With this newer engine, it seems to be maybe a mile lower in the miles per gallon, I think, because I could get 33 or more sometimes when it was all road. This was averaging almost 31, and the only time it got over 35 was if I was going downhill where it would peak up to 40. Of course, you can't count on that. But overall, I averaged about 31 miles a gallon, so yeah, I'm happy with that. But yes, 16 days of driving. Well, not all driving, but yeah, 3,200 miles. We went to Philadelphia, but we stopped just short of Wheeling, West Virginia for the night. Found a great pizza place, small pizza place in the town there. And then continued down to Reading the next morning, where we had lunch with Ron Shira. Yes, that was fantastic. It was great to see Ron again. And then we drove down to Philly, stayed at the airport. Well, not at the airport. Hotel near the airport, Marriott. And that evening, we went into New Jersey, across the Delaware River, and visited and had brews at a craft brewery with Scott and Linda, oops, holding the phone here. Scott and Linda Murray. Yes, well, I slipped the phone here. I'm trying it with my phone. I did it once with my camera, but I didn't bring my mount, which clamps onto my kayak. And so it was down here looking at me, and it's actually zoomed out a little more, and it doesn't adjust the light as well as the camera does. Man, camera phones are fantastic, aren't they? So I'm doing it over again. And holding it and get a little more water in here, too. Get some light on my face. So yeah, the brewery is called Bonesaw. It's owned by 3 surgeons. And man, did they have a selection of beers, and they were all good. The ones we had were good. Of course, I didn't try the sours or the IPAs, but yeah, what we had was great. And then the next day, we met with 2 people that I know from WordPress, 2 poets, Merrill Smith and Claudia McGill. Yes, we met with them together. We had their husbands, Doug and Bob. And we were at the Valley Green Inn. It's like sort of a historic building in a park whose use, you know, for well, I guess you'd say industry, because I think there were mills. There was a mill there at one time. Goes back, I don't know, 250 years. The building itself is more than 150 years old. So that was pretty cool. And we had a great time with them. We did. Now, Claudia is also an artist. She's done different medium. She's sculptures, paintings, and I have one of her sculptures. Yeah. And she makes tiny houses. She makes them out of the cardboard from cereal boxes. She paints them, puts collage on them, paints them, lacquers them, and they're little tiny houses. They're really cool. And she gave one to both me and to Meryl. So that was great. That was fantastic. So it was great meeting both of them, in person. I have Zoomed with Meryl with groups for poetry readings before, but it was great to meet both of them in person. Yeah. Okay, so then we drove to Erie, Pennsylvania the next day. We stayed at the Spencer House Bed and Breakfast, beautiful building. Built in 1876. Woodwork in there was beautiful, and all the decor and everything. It just looked, period. It was great. It was fantastic. And the breakfasts were great. Our hosts were fantastic. And I'm going to have to look that up because I forgot the names already, but they're great. It was a great experience. So while we were in Erie, we went to the Presque Isle Lighthouse. And we left Thursday, and Thursday was the start of tall ships. These tall ships were coming into the harbor. We missed it. But the Pride of Baltimore actually sailed in a day early, and so got some pictures of that coming in. So that was cool, but we missed the tall boats. Tried out a few craft breweries while we were in town. And then we went to Clymer, New York, where we stayed at Peak and Peak, which is a ski resort, and I guess you call it a condo. It was a duplex, and each side was probably about 3,000 square feet and a half we were in. We had 15 people, probably more than 3,000 square feet. Seating outdoors, indoors, rooms for, well, we had 15 people, including 2 kidlets. So, yeah, and it was a great time visiting with family. That was all set up by Alyssa, and that was great. It was great, yeah. Justin, Jess, and Liv, Ryan and Jen, Alyssa, Reed, and Noah, Reed's parents, and I was there. Bonnie was there. I'm missing somebody. I know I am. Oh, yeah. Natalie, Devin. Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And then, so that was 2 days of just having fun with family. Yeah. And then Bonnie and I continued on, and we went to Letchworth State Park, and we stayed at the Glen Iris Inn, which is another building that was built like the 1860s. It was the home of Prior Letchworth. He was an industrialist. His, Pratt Letchworth, I think was the name of the company, was known for making little metal toys, like horses and that sort of thing, carriages. Yeah. And, but he was a conservationist, and he wanted to preserve that land for the people, so he donated it to the state for a park. And well, Letchworth is beautiful. It is. The waterfalls and everything. Got pictures at night. Got pictures in the day. And while we were there, we went into Fillmore, drove into Fillmore, and visited with cousins Millie and Maria. Maria's husband Joe, and her son Jason, and his wife Laura. His wife Laura. And it's a nice setting. Cottage that he has built, Jason has built for Maria and Joe, because they spend their summers up here to get away from the heat of Carolinas. But guess what? Heat's everywhere, damn it. Whew. Yeah. And a log cabin that he has built himself. He and Laura built a year or two ago. It's beautiful. It's massive logs there, hemlock that came off of the land. There's a large meadow, which I put developing in quotes. He's just making it livable, and it is great. It's fantastic. Last time, I'm sure the last time I saw him was like 40 years ago, because my mom and dad lived right down the road from there, and we built a barn and some other buildings, and he was there. I have a black and white photo of him holding a hammer when he was like about 10 years old in the deck of the barn, the upper level of the barn, as we were under the trusses. And it's perfect to have that photo of him, because he rehabbed the house a couple of years ago. It had been left empty for like 5 years. Yeah. foreclosure. So he got a hold of it, had to do a lot of work, had to practically gut it, and just the state that it was in left open to the weather and everything. But so yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, so that was Letchworth and Fillmore, and then oh yeah, we went to Wizard of Clay in Bristol, New York. Got a pie pan and a couple of other things, and then we headed to Buffalo. We went there and then continued to Buffalo that morning. And we stayed at Salvatore's Garden Place, which was, if you're familiar with Buffalo, Salvatore's Italian Gardens, that's the same Salvatore. And this hotel's been around for a few years, and Salvatore's thing is glitz. The restaurant has Italian Gardens in this garden place, like a piece of Las Vegas, giant glass chandeliers hanging from the ceiling and everything. And good-sized rooms. But I would say that it's in his son's hands now, the hotel, and I would say that it hasn't been updated. It needs a lot of work, but it was still a nice place to stay. And we went up to Fort Niagara, got some beach glass, and then we went to Niagara Falls. We parked on the American side and we walked across to Canada. The first time being able to be in Canada since before pandemic, at least for us. And yeah, it was great. Got some great photos. Walked across. I said that. Yeah, we walked across. So that was great. It was a beautiful day. Beautiful weather the whole time. The whole 16 days, that we were gone. The only time we had some bad weather was driving on the first day when we were in Ohio. Driving across Ohio. It was probably about 3 hours worth where it was raining on and off, sometimes really heavy. And nothing after that. So, yeah. And so we had the great weather in Niagara Falls. Stopped at Reed's and Alyssa's, had taco pot pie. Yeah, I never had that before. Yeah, I love it. That was a nice surprise. And yeah, from there we went to, we also went to Community Beer Works with Ryan and Jen. So yeah, and then we headed to Cleveland and stayed the night there, and left my SLR camera in its bag sitting by the door. So that's supposed to be delivered tomorrow, I think. Yeah. So yeah, and then on the way home we stopped at Indianapolis. We spent the night in Indianapolis because we went to the Kurt Vonnegut Museum and Library. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. Even had Kurt Vonnegut's typewriter there, so that was pretty neat. And things about his life, his standing up for things like free speech, and against banning of books in schools. Yeah, his own history regarding World War II as a prisoner of war, which is included in his book Slaughterhouse-Five, which is science fiction, but it's based on his life. Good part of it. It's one of my favorite books. So that was great being there. And then we drove home. So it was a very exciting, very busy 2 weeks, 16 days, Saturday to Sunday. And with exciting news after being home, which is the birth of our 5th grandchild. Yes, 6th grandchild. 6, because there's Zoe, Justin, Natalie, Olivia, Noah Jane, and now Maeve Amelia. Yes, she was born on Tuesday, September 6th. How cool. Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, of grandchildren, we also, when we left Cleveland to head to Indianapolis, we stopped in Canton. Went to Canton Brewing. We went to a few craft breweries on this trip. But the purpose for stopping there was to see Justin and Paige because they couldn't make the trip to family gathering at Peak and Peak. But still, it was a great time. All of it was great. And with the camera here, with the phone camera, I have no idea how long this is. Oh, yes, I do. Whoa, it's a marathon. It's going on 15 minutes. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of nice things to talk about. Yeah. Well, anyway, this has been your Mid-Missouri Kayak and Weather Report for September 2022. Ciao, folks, and vlog on.